if the opportunity came, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking a chunk out of it. I want a piece of that blade.
This is the last chance I'm going to get at designing a Hypershock for a toy, so it had to be perfect.
They knew that they couldn't really go weapon to weapon, so they went weapon to side of weapon.
We hit the jackpot in Vegas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And, as you may know, if you follow combat robotics, there is an NHRL event coming up very soon. By the time this episode airs, it's going to be like in a few days. So we have the latest and most up-to-date information, and I have a group of folks here that are going to be competing at that event on June 22nd. So I have Julian, Michael, Alex, Mitch, Zach, and Corey here to talk about a bunch of robots. So welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Hey, thank you very much.
Hello. Appreciate it.
Yes. Everyone has been here before, so at least once. So you all know the drill. But I'm super excited to talk about this field. It's the last NHRL event that we're going to have for a little while, so of course I'm like super hyped about it, and I can't wait to see it. As we're just coming off of the teams event, it seems like not that long ago, but I'm ready to kind of jump into talking about who is on the list for this event. So as always, I'm going to start with the 30-pound division. And I mean, again, every event, I think all the fields are pretty scary. Of the folks that are here, Alex and Corey, of course, you both have robots in that 30-pound weight class. There's a lot of scary things in there. I mean, robo jackets are back. So I think, they certainly have been able to do some things with their robots that I think could pose a challenge. We've got Warhard Double XL. So that should be interesting as well. But if you both want to talk about your robots and what you think of the field, and I'll let everybody else weigh in after that.
Alex, if you want to go first.
I'm looking at the field right now. So Phenomenon, always something to worry about. Brandon, great driver, great robot, durable, always puts on a good show. Ares is still new this year, but they've really showed up. They've performed well. Of course, Corey with Synthesis, that's another monster in there. You've got Emperor being a 45-pound shuffling horizontal that is finally in good working order. I'd like to see what it's capable of. I finally have Floor Letter Word performing where I'd like it to be. And Corey, maybe you know some of the other ones better.
Let's see. Anxiety is an undercutter, if I remember correctly. They did okay the last showing. B-Force had a okay showing at teams, but they kind of got very unfortunate matchups. Darthbot, I know that's one of there's a family of a husband, wife, and 2 children. I know they bring a lot of homemade style robots. They're interesting. Kazaa is one that Zach knows very well. Well, I believe they're making a 30-pounder. Let's see. I'm not familiar with Mirage, what that is. Salad Cat, not sure either. Splishy Splashy, I think is probably going to be a multi. Split Personality is the Robo Jackets. I know that with their I endings, iteration 1. And then TCC is the one that's telecommunicated between the Combat Collective he'll be doing it through digital screen controlling it, and I'm bringing back Synthesis 30. It's working really, really well. The drive is phenomenal. The spin up is really fast, under 1.5 seconds, and it's very scary. I'm very, very excited to see how high I can launch bots into the ceiling.
Just as long as it's not me, I'm fine with it.
Yes.
Same thing here.
I've talked to Mike, and the only thing that I've ever seen kill Stag Beetle was Synthesis 12. So, and as a way of checking durability for Stag, we run him as a mini bot, not necessarily to gain extra weight, but Mike wants to put himself through pain and see how much damage he can sustain and what can kill it. So far, the only thing that really killed it was myself.
Well, since September last year, Synthesis is the only thing that's been knocked it out since I've done some internal upgrades and just securing wiring.
Yeah, and then Floor Let a Word, I mean, it was streamed when it fought Huge. It was a phenomenal fight, and I'm excited to see what new things Alex is definitely bringing to the table.
I have some more fun stuff planned after this event.
Yes, I'm sure. And as always, Corey is going to intimidate everyone. Because, I mean, Synthesis is scary, and I think that it keeps getting more scary every time. So I'm curious to hear what you both think of Warhard XXL, because, I mean, you know, John is a really great builder and has had some success in the past. So this is, you know, I think this is probably going to be scary as well.
So I know John is a phenomenal builder. Warhard, the 3-pounder, is a wonderful robot, and it hits hard, super durable. With every single builder, no matter what, you generally escape the first bot gremlins. He did build a 12 in the past, and it had some success. It was kind of off and on. He only really brought it, I think, 1 or 2 events, so it wasn't a long enough time to establish as to what works and what didn't. I mean, I joke all the time with John. I want to fight John. I've known him for a couple years now, and for whatever reason, we've always missed paths. So that'll be interesting. I'm definitely excited to see Warhard's path and its opening day this Saturday.
Yeah, I know John as a great builder. I'm not familiar enough with this robot to really know what to expect. So approach it with caution and point the weapon towards the opponent.
Yeah, I know Warhard is the way John was testing the durability of Warhard in itself. He built a same size arena as Norwalk, and he was just launching it into the walls and letting it bounce just to see what was breaking and then replacing it. So I don't really think he can do the exact same testing, because 30-pounders are a lot more spinning mass, and it'd be unsafe to test. So I'm excited. It's definitely going to be a big old heavy beater bar spinning as fast as he possibly can.
Yeah.
I look forward to feeding AR 600 into it.
Yeah. What are everyone else's thoughts? I mean, just as, you know, not having robots in that class, as far as who's in there and what you think might happen.
I mean, I'm excited to see the Robo Jackets guys come back. I mean, even if they don't always win, they've always brought entertaining, you know, bots. And I've been talking with some of their people. They're doing a lot of work. I believe at least 1 or 2 of these bots are new. Emperor is another one that we got to look at. Terrifying horizontal. Yeah,
I'm excited to see Emperor. They've had some gremlins in the past, but like when that thing is spinning, it's terrifying, and they're slowly fixing things every time it breaks, and eventually it's going to break through and just start smashing things, I think.
I'll be
It may be the
curious.
next STS.
I'll be curious to see if they fix the major flaw that happened last of it. Hitting with them allowed me to see what ended up happening. Their motors, so the reason they stopped moving at the end of that fight, their motors disconnected from the gearboxes.
Right.
So I'll be curious to see if they've solved that problem, or if they're going to run into a similar situation with a high shock situation.
Corey, were you saying this TCC robot is like remote controlled from off site?
Yeah, so the gentleman, I don't remember his name. I'm sorry about that, but he does a stream called the Combat Collective, and he's located in Texas. So what the family that does Darthbot, and they have a couple other ones, they remotely connect the actual robot through, I don't know, I'm not that intelligent about that, but they connected wirelessly from the robot to the station that's a robot that he has a camera he can see, and then it gets directly sent to Texas. So he's wirelessly driving a robot from Texas in Connecticut to Connecticut. So that's pretty cool.
So do you guys think, or you folks think that there's a lag between the actual real action that's happening in the ring to what you're seeing, or am I just old?
No, there has
There-
to
There's
be.
gotta be a lag.
There absolutely is, but they have the robot design that makes sense for this situation. If I recall correctly, it is a full body spinner.
Yeah.
That's the only way you could get away with it.
Yeah, and it's
Okay, I get you.
shuffler
I get
too.
you.
It's a shuffler too, so the shell is probably 15 to 20 pounds. I know it's welded steel too, so
Yeah.
I'd
Oh, that's
also
fun.
I'd also like to point out that when we say the station, it's a humanoid-esque mannequin of sorts, and the station itself is fully capable of moving and getting mad and running into the arena.
They should just put it in as a mini bot controlling.
Exactly.
I'm
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm also extremely excited to see how the new phenomenon does, because I don't know what I'm allowed to share and what I'm not allowed to share, so I'm gonna try to keep it pretty vague. There are some very intriguing upgrades coming to it that will, in my opinion, that this is no knock on Brandon, it's either going to make it literally unstoppable, or it's going to be his problem throughout the entire course of the day. So, yeah.
So the fact that we haven't seen Dragon Princess with fire in a while makes me excited to see Kazaa Light coming in and turning up the heat. I know that's if it's based off of his 3-pounder, it's going to produce a pretty decently sized flame. I mean, in the Beatles, when we fought him with Mystery Machine, I mean, the flames, it torched Zack's half, and so it'll be fun. I'm definitely excited because, I mean, big spinny hit flame bot. It might be a big boom.
Yeah, that does make me very curious, because when they've also got a 12-pound version, which is two 7.5-pound robots running together to combine for 15 to use the weight bonus. So I'm wondering if they're going to follow that same route and be like a multi, or if they're actually going to be one singular Kazaa.
Interesting, because they have Kazaa Light, so that tells me maybe it's a two lighter Kazaas, but we'll see. That'd be exciting.
Could it be 4?
It
5?
could be. It could be.
So I know they had 4 at when they had it as a 12.
Interesting. Is that the one that you fought with Pramheda? The
Yeah.
flame bots?
There's a lot of speculation there on what they're actually doing, for sure.
Yeah, it should be interesting. So we'll see how that goes. Now, switching into the 12 pounds, which Zack Knight knows very well, I will go ahead and point out, before we jump into everything, some interesting ones for me. Definitely Ariel jumping into the 12s with Downpour, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I am so excited to see Full Court back. A lot of other people may not be excited to see Full Court back, but I love bots that frustrate people. I don't know why, but I think that should be interesting to see the return of that robot. And then of course, I mean, you know, Zach, that you're going to be ready to go with Pramheda, so I'll let you kind of kick things off for the 12s, or maybe not. I don't know. The look on your face is very perplexing.
So I am currently facing a conundrum. We'll find out how as the week goes on, but I don't know if I'm running the intended Pramheda for this event. Currently DHL has been holding frame parts hostage for about a week now. So I could either have a brand new version with a mass amount of upgrades, or I could have the same one that ran at Teams. Not too sure what's gonna happen yet. Either or, I'm fighting this weekend. It's just a question of what one gets what gearboxes and motors and stuff like that. So yeah, and that also leaves Carmen in a kind of predicament because he's waiting on the same order with me. So yeah, so that leaves Carmen and me both in a very interesting conundrums. I'm obviously very excited to see if Bumbleblitz fixes its problems from Teams. It had receiver issues, but outside of that, every other event it's ever fought in it, it's finished top 4. So you can never not look at that robot as a possible repeat to do that. And genuinely, I think the only reason he went 0-3 at Teams is because of receiver issues, and you can see it in his driving. Curious to see if Glenn brought any upgrades to Caldera following Teams. I know throughout the early portion of the day, I think he bent every weapon he had. Like in like all 3 of his fights, he ended up bending his weapons. Like very terrifying to say the least. But hopefully he can solve that. I don't. Oh, so we do. This is the first mention we can talk about Thomas. He is a builder from the UK who is flying over, bringing his notorious 3-pound and a 12-pound version of it called 12-pounder Dead Bod. Looking into it, I wonder if he made some errors in the design that I like. Just general photos that it almost looks like the weapon shaft bolt's the same size as his Beetle, so that very much terrifies me. But I'm very curious to see if he's going to prove me wrong, and that's not even going to be a problem at all. Downpour is going to shock some people. That one coming out is it's going to turn heads just to see who's got what. Ariel is a great driver. We all know this. So I'm curious to see if she can be a very successful driver with Verts.
Uh-oh, you just let it out.
You should have said anything. Well, I was allowed to say more up to that point as long as I didn't name what it was.
All right.
So then you got full court. I'm curious to see if he's gonna stop playing the game of how far can I push the rules and really try to defend what he was able to accomplish last year. I mean, I think what he did accomplish last year was very, very hard to do, especially when you don't have something that most of us would have considered an active weapon. So I'm curious to see if he's still going to be pushing the lines of the rules, or if he's going to just say, hey, I'm here. You guys really can't touch me now. I've got an active weapon added on top of my driving style. Like, good luck. Another good one. So I do know Heave and Hoist is going to be a multi. Grim Reaper's got a brand new blade. I mean, the thing's KO'd me twice this year. Once with Sky Ripper, one with Pramheda. So I'd say it's worthy of being terrifying.
I find the geometry on that bot really interesting. and
It's so
really
frustrating.
Yeah, like I couldn't get anything underneath it.
Not to
No.
mention to actually make that shell. And he's said it takes a lot of work to like actually form that UHMW. That's a solid piece that he has to form around, which is very difficult.
Yeah, I correct understand that it's a flat stock, then he forms it, then he machines it.
Yes.
Wow.
That's brutal. Killer Whale's back for what, 4th time this year? Just curious to see if Williams brought any new upgrades to it. It's done okay in the past. I really think that there's only a couple things that he needs to change, and he's gonna be able to put that thing really in a good spot. So very curious about that. Minor Threat 5, but not driven by Luke Grell. Derek's an accomplished driver himself, but will Minor Threat 5 be Minor Threat 5 and cause problems? I know at Moto this year, it ends up getting embedded in the walls.
Ooh.
Don't know
Yeah.
North Star.
Yeah, it hit an unlucky corner where the Lexans met, and it split it just enough for him to poke through and get jammed, and that was very unlucky. That was against Bumbleblitz too. That was
Yeah, it was.
you just see him bouncing from one corner, chaotically bouncing and getting jammed into the wall. So
Minor Threat will do minor threat things. That
Yeah.
is the known fact. We got New Matador coming back from Kent State. I know the last time they came out, I think they did relatively well. I'm not sure if they went 1 and 2 or they got eliminated in the first round of the bracket. Being it's a college team, we always know there's upgrades coming to that. Ratchet is basically Fusion, but with a hammer saw instead of a vert.
Yeah, so undercutter on one side, hammer saw on the other, and I mean Alex Wang.
Yeah,
he makes some cool bots. I think he had Gremlins previously, so it should do well because I think he tests at the Honey Cracked headquarters.
yeah. Then he's a leatherback, so he's got Brandon Young for information and everybody that's come through there. So there's a lot of good minds that he can pick on without even having to dive into some of the public servers.
And
Don't
there's
know
that
Spear.
There's that Pramheda guy.
Yeah, we already talked about it. It'll be there. Whether it's new version or not, we don't. So what I think is going to happen ultimately regarding that is I'm going to get my frames, but I'm not going to have any of the heat treated stuff for that order. So I'll have to do some modifications, which means I won't have the brand new weapon and I won't have the weapon shaft. So I'll have to convert the shoulder bolts for the weapon shaft. Not really a big of a deal. Void is coming back. Obviously we all know it is, a hub motor design that I created for January this year and then gifted to him. He's done way better than I could with that robot. So kudos to him on that, but there is no upgrades to that for this event. Weather report is literally one of the most, if all robots are running at 100%, weather report wins the day. No questions asked. 18 pounds shuffler, amazing drive speed. Like, I don't think anybody can beat him if he is running 100%. And then I think, oh wait, no. Spearhead, I think, is the swerve drive from Team Vulcan. And then we saw Yob Troff, however you say it, last year from them. They are a 2-wheel drive vert that ended up getting their name because somebody was like pinged into the server when he asked to name it. It was just like, name it Yob Troff. So it's short boy instead of, it's kind of playing homage to Long Boy from Chris Rommel.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any thoughts on any of the 12 pounders?
Oh my god. So I'm super so at teams I kept going over to the Halloween team. I don't remember the name, but Grim Ripper I kept talking to. He is such a nice guy. I've fought him, and like Mike was saying, it is so frustrating to hit him because no matter how low you are, he's lower, and his weapon just it eats away at you a little bit at a time, and that shell is just very protective. Unless you get him upside down like a horseshoe crab, there's very little you can do. And I'm a very big fan of big verts and Weather Report. I'm very excited because I mean the bot is faster than some wheeled robots, and it's a shuffler, and it just it's menacing when you just see this robot running at you. Just the sheer sound of what it sounds like as it's spun up and moving. I know when it fought Bumble Blitz, I think I don't know if it detached the weapon off of like it was still hanging by a belt or something, but it was not in a happy spot. So those are the two bots I'm very excited for. Anyone else?
Bumble Blitz. I'm curious to see
Yeah.
how well they do this time around. I really like the design, and Honey Cracked will generally like do something well.
Yeah.
So I just I just like it.
I do know Caldera's gotten a little bit of work done. Glenn and Brian have been working together to make some things happen. With Glenn being part of Team Fireball, and as we know, the weight bonuses for multi-bots in the 12-pound. Glenn has Caldera at 12 pounds, which means he can bring any standard 3-pound beetle that doesn't need a weight bonus in as his mini. With everyone that he works with, the WPI crew and whatnot, you never know what his mini bot might be. Usually it's a Caldera 3, but he's been known to change it up.
I almost wonder, and this is just a generally little bit off topic. Like, is it justifiable to put a $700-800 beetle into a 12-pound fight?
I wouldn't want to.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Nope.
If I'm sending in a inexpensive one, sure, I'll send one in all day, but I'm not spending in like one that's fully custom machined, a weapon that's it might do a little bit, but it nip at the wheels. But it's like if any of the beetles got hit by say Pramheda, it's going to explode and fly into multiple pieces into the ceiling. So
Although I can't say anything, I put with Madeline, we put Trijinx in alongside a floor letter word for All Stars last year. Trijinx is not quite an $800 beetle, but it's not a cheap one, and a 30-pound will obliterate a beetle. We know that.
That's for sure.
It's only 10 times the weight. Should be fine.
Fine.
Weapon
No
2-3
problem.
times heavier than the robot. It's like it's fine.
I mean, have we forgotten the sacrifice of Thunderchild? That was both weapons that were in the arena at the same time on a Thunderchild.
Yeah.
That is true. And that's actually a really great segue into talking about the 3-pounders. Because before I get into talking about any of your bots, I just want to throw out that I know 2 bots that I'm personally interested to see in the beetle weights. Number 1 is, as you were mentioning, Thunderchild. Drumderchild is back for this event. So I'm really curious to see what Nate Franklin can do with that robot this time. And the one that I am just like over the moon excited for is Buffalo Wings. I mean, Eli is probably one of my favorite builders. I love Hot Wings so much. And so I'm really curious to see what Buffalo Wings brings to the table. But aside from that, obviously several of you have beetles coming into this event, including surprise jump scare for everyone. Synthesis is going to be in for the 3 pounds. And all I can say is I'm really glad that I'm not going to be in this event because I don't want to face that thing. But
Thanks, Zach, is learning this.
Yes, yes, I am.
Surprise!
Yeah, but
Darn it.
Stag Beetle Bot will be there, obviously. Julian, you'll have Mako, and Mitch, you will have the
Yakety Yak.
Yakety Yak. Yes, I wanted to say Purple People Eater, but I'm like, no, it's not that
God,
robot.
no.
It's Yakety Yak.
Never again.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about that, because I mean, as always, it's large field for the Beatles. Anything could happen. Yeah, let's chat about it.
Who wants to go first?
This has been one of the prior to this morning when I got the email from Gil that says, "Congratulations, you have made it in." This has probably been one of the most frustrating experiences ever because I've registered this robot 3 times, and all 3 times it's been waitlisted towards the bottom, and so it was tough. But this time it was 21, so I was kind of in the middle to where, do I drop it? Do I keep it? And I kept it. And as I saw each day was going by, there was one day where like there was almost 10 drops. I was like, okay, this is exciting because I went up to 5 or 6. But no, synthesis is going to be very new, but it's going to look the exact same. I've been testing it and whatnot, and it's very exciting because I've never had it in, so it's going to be nice and fresh. I'm very, very excited. Big bots are fun. Little bots are more fun because of the amount of power that you can hit something with in the Beatles. The power to weight is so much higher than a 12 or a 30, to where you can hit something one time and just everything that's inside is now outside. So synthesis tends to do that. It has 19 wins, and of the 19 wins, 16 of them are knockouts. So I'm hoping to get a few more knockouts this event, as long as nothing stupid happens.
Right on.
Yeah.
Mike, I know you have a couple new things, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh
Let's hear
yeah,
about 'em.
yeah. Let me see. Well, the last version I had some issues with the drive and everything, and I had to like widen the wheelbase. And well, if anybody remembers that match with Red Panda where the weapon kind of got folded, I switched up. I have a new weapon, and it is a Drisk. And I've been working on basically the whole thing, all the way through to even a new weapon guard, And oh yeah, I'm trying these out because we have to have the little poke, covers for our forks. So I'm trying to do like design little like beetle mandibles so I can just put them on, and then when fights on, then off, just to work on the aesthetic and actual functioning part of it.
Thank you for reminding me, Michael. I just realized I need to do that.
What's hiding behind that guard, Mike?
Oh, you want to see it?
Of course.
Now the weapon there, I don't know how well you can see it past everything. Corey has helped me design this. I went to him after the event and I said, I like Catalyst's weapon. Can we make some small ones for Stag? So basically it's a miniature version of Catalyst's weapons with the same rake angle and everything. So I'm hoping that it'll like do what, bite in or just remove pieces. I don't think it's going to have the same amount of energy that Catalyst does, but I think it's going to have some interesting effects on other people's robots. So, and other than that, it's pretty much the same, other than, the unibody and the UHMW interior frame. And I've done this is the first time I've done all of the printing myself. I've had an ender in the past, and it ended me. So I actually had to switch up to a bamboo. And this is the first time that I've printed everything myself instead of having it farmed out to here, there, wherever. And that part I'm really interested in seeing, and how well I made it through that level of like learning the slicing and all that. So there's a lot of new components in it because I ripped out all of the automotive bullet connectors and I put in RC connectors. So I've gone through and I've done a lot to it in the last couple of months. See what happens. We're just gonna see it. As long as it runs and the weapon stays running, the wheels stay running, I think they're okay. But that's about it for those upgrades.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like I said, there's so many other robots like curious about like the greatest challenge hasn't been around in a long time.
Yeah.
You know, they're another. I actually want to fight Melty Brains to see what happens. You know, because it's just one of those. It's a very damaging robot. You got 3 pounds coming in and see what happens.
Mitch, how does Yakety Yak? How's any upgrades or anything?
So I have Yakety Yak with me. This is its current state. I just got about 80% of the robot like 4 hours ago. So it is not built yet. There's a lot of upgrades that'll hopefully make it on. I'm switching to a full like bolted and plastite UHMW chassis. I'm thinning up the weapon even more. So that belt sniping will hopefully be nearly impossible, Mr. Corey. However, I am the opposite of Michael. This is the first event where I am not printing everything myself. About a week ago, as I was about to start printing parts, I printed wheel guards, printed weapon pulley, motor mounts. My printer broke down, and I need to ship parts from China. I messaged our little chat. I was like, guys, I might have to drop. And then I need to thank Alex in this call, as well as Matt Lantry from Team Pandemonium. They're like, yeah, no, you're not dropping. And so they're come to the rescue. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Nothing electronically is changing. It's still way too big, way too much air inside of it. But yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully it'll move this time. It's a good thing for robots to do.
Yeah. Very helpful.
Yeah, I'm looking through the list right now. Of course, I expect Nate Franklin with his phenomenal driving to take it far, even if he has weapon issues. His ability to control and drive during a fight is something that there's an asset to him because he can, without a weapon, win control and aggression. Adrift, I don't know if Carter's been doing any upgrades to this. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's always a robot that hits decently hard and does well. Of course, Mako, I see there's also from your team, you have Turbo Fiend here. That did well at a NHRL event. I see the 3 pound Warheart, another from Jonathan to come and wreak some havoc.
I asked the script writers to please make Synthesis versus Warhard because I really want to hit that thing hard and I want him to hit me hard. I don't want I don't want both bots coming out as whole bots. I want things to come as we're either limping or dead by 1 minute.
By the end of it, you'll be qualified for a weight bonus.
Don't you know that the script writers are going to do this just to spite you, and they're going to leave you guys really, really close? One of you is going to get eliminated the round before.
Yeah. Speaking of Julian, tell us what's going on with your bots. What do we got going on?
So I've been running the same Mako chassis for a while. Since last NHRL, I actually did 3 tournaments with it. Managed to win 1, 2 others didn't do so great, but a good part about that is the chassis got shredded up enough to where I can fully reprint it and do a few small tweaks here and there that I've wanted to make, and it's also letting me upgrade from a 3S battery to a 4S battery. And talking to Ricky, I'm like, how fast am I actually allowed to spin a saw? Because I like spinning that thing super fast. So I'm going to be spinning my saw at like 400 miles per hour, which is terrifying, even in my test box. But I'm excited to, see if I can pin anyone, get some good hits. I think if I drive patiently, I'm confident against a bunch of robots. Like that's why I enjoy Mako so much. Like, it kind of puts the the pressure on me to drive well. Because if I throw my weapon into another weapon, I'll explode. But if I'm patient and wait for like the perfect shot, I feel like I could beat a lot of robots. So I'm very excited about that. And Turbo Fiend, driven by Dima, my sister, is also quite interesting. It's like as wide as Mako, and it's got a like a 4.5-inch hub motor spinner. But it's frustrating to deal with. It's kind of wide, and it actually has like a higher ground clearance. So like you get under it and it bounces away, and it comes back at you with big wide forks and tries to like corral you into the corner and keep smacking you around. She's a very good driver. And I'm excited that she's driving a spinner instead of Turbo Friend, which is great. I love Turbo Friend, but it's it can be hard to drive a control bot. It's fun to drive a bot where it's like, hey, if you do well, you might actually damage the opponent. You might knock them out, and instead of having to be perfectly driven for like 3 minutes.
So funny story about Turbo Fiend when it shows up at other events talking about knockouts. We've already had robots leave in the sand bucket.
Yeah, it actually did pretty dang good in its first event. It beat Rhino, it beat Pine Victus, and it beat a beater and set it on fire in like 8 seconds. So see how it does.
Yeah, and I'll definitely say this, Julian, you and Mako are hands down, out of everybody I've ever fought in my entire life, the most frustrating person to face. The combination of the two, you're too patient. I can't stand it.
It's funny because like I said, like if I stay patient, it can be very frustrating. And I don't think I got a chance to talk about it, but like full court, I'm excited for that. It's like I would like to be as annoying as full court, but if I get the chance, maybe I can knock you out, hit a battery. So yeah.
If the power of friendship can get knockouts by getting batteries, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
We also have Drew Davis coming back. And he's bringing Jack Move.
That's a nice flat bot for a saw robot.
Don't jinx me. It's funny because like anytime I think there's going to be like an easy opponent to cut up, I can't find the battery.
Oh, I mean, Drew is an awesome competitor. I mean, he has Blackjack and he has all the other 3-pounders. I've fought him. His robot, it seems like it's more of a control bot with the weapon on it. His Beetles, anyways, because the spinners are very small. But he's a great driver. He just stays in it until the very end. So Drew is one of the builders I definitely look up to as far as like he's been doing it so long. He's definitely made his name in the sport to where he is a great driver.
Every year he's going to be, every year I've seen him, he makes top 16 at least during one event. So there's no question about it that he can push really deep into a bracket.
Yep. And his son is coming along too, Julian, which is cool because they've actually been coming along as really good drivers because they've been doing the mini bots for Drew for a while. I know that'll be interesting to see how they do.
They probably have more stick time than any other builder at their age.
Yeah,
Cameron's also coming too.
They also have a ton of knowledge. I actually at the hotel at one of my first events, they recognized me and we started talking, and we actually had a long talk about BattleBot history, a lot. And their knowledge was really put mine to shame. But, so it was like, oh my goodness. So they're going to have a great run just in life with combat robotics if they stick to it.
Another robot that I'm especially excited about and there's a ton of bias because this guy's on my team. Deep Stone Lullaby by Sawyer Hurley. It's a Peter Bar style Drisk spinner, completely custom, and he's done a ton of work optimizing it. He has some interesting electronic things going on. I believe he's looking at machining it in house. And I mean, Taurus is amazing. In January, he's helping out anyone he can. He's the kind of builder that will put down his robot that he's working on to go and fix yours. But he still manages to do great. Deep Stone Lullaby has been terrifying in other events. I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy lineup, as always. So I'm really excited to see what happens. And the other thing that people have to keep in mind too is that at least as of the time that we are recording this, Chainsaw Kitty is also at the very top of the wait list. So if we're talking about scary robots, there is still a chance that Chainsaw Kitty gets off of the wait list as well. So if that happens, then I think people are going to need to watch out.
There's also
God.
Sorry, there's also near the top of the wait list. There's Ominius. I don't know how to pronounce it. It is Kevin from Team Pandemonium's Kiwi driver. That thing is pretty scary. Very interesting robot. He's put a ton of work into it. If it does make it in, it'd be very interesting to see.
Yeah, about a week and right after teams, I knew that the new Pramheda was coming and I had both robots registered. I looked down the wait list. I'm like, I should probably drop the 3. I don't want to put the effort into it right now. And there are some really close friends of mine with Chainsaw Kitty, Corey and Synthesis, Ominous. Like I was like hoping that y'all could get in with helping you by dropping. So it's making me very happy.
Let's let Kazaya get in after the brackets, because if that happens, she's still in. But I've never ever been the ranked #1 robot going into a tournament, so Synthesis would be #1. So I mean that would be a cool honor, but at the same time,
if the brackets are formed, does she take the one that she's replacing, or does she come in at the bottom?
She comes in whatever bot she replaces. I mean, God help anyone if like one of the really low seeds drops and she's fighting another low seed, because
What? Yeah. In the new format, it doesn't really matter. It's bottom 75% are all equal.
Right, but
if she gets in before the bracket drops, she's going to be ranked #1.
Right.
So she'll be in the upper class. If she gets in after the brackets drop, and hypothetical, a low seed robot drop like low seed like a 94 or something drop, she replaces that bot as that seed. And so I'm assuming she's going to fight another low seed robot. And if that's.
But a high seed robot, I think that it's the registration and event, that the rules changing was kind of weird. But I think the way it works now is it's just like the top 25% doesn't face each other in the first 2 rounds. But the first rank robot could face the last.
Oh, give me Kazaya. I'm okay.
I will. Yeah, I'll say that waitlist has been very interesting this event. Because I know there wasn't a lot of movement early on, as far as I'm aware. There was some, but then recently there's just this huge surge of people realizing, hey, I can't get my robot ready, and now we're getting builders that people originally thought wouldn't make it through. And
I don't want to jinx anyone, but I was like number 2 or 3 on the wait list in March, and in the last week, I don't think it moved at all. But you never know. Someone could drop right now.
Speaking of waitlist, and we know that there's a couple of problems in the 12-pound situations. Granger, a huge style robot sitting there for the 12-pound class. If there is a drop for the 12-pound class, there is a huge robot coming.
That would be exciting.
Is that Grandor that's #1 on the list?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna say one thing. Earlier when I said I couldn't talk about Phenomenon, I'm wrong. It is a hub motor this time around. He is full testing it. Completely changing the design up from Boreon's weapon system and going hub motor. And that's why I think it could be indestructible.
I would love to be the one to test this with Brandon.
I too would love to test it.
I will abstain.
I have a 22-inch effective diameter, 3/4 inch thick, and I'm under 30 pounds with that blade now. Take the mini bots out and let's do this.
There you go. Both Corey and Alex volunteer as tribute. So
Yeah. Tag team.
Just a 3-way rumble.
Yeah.
why not?
That's been something people have suggested, is putting in rumbles as part of the NHRL format to get more or take less time.
You can
As
miss me with
someone
that.
as someone who has done the 3-way fights, I would not be a fan of it in a Norwalk level competition because it's pretty much gang up on the better robot or what happens before you go down to the arena, who works together and just wipe somebody off. At that level, it's not like Sword where it's much more laid back and friendly and works out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I fought Loophole, so getting into a cage with 2 other robots, 0 out of 10, do not recommend.
Yeah.
I think
Corey would recommend it.
I think I share an opposite opinion. I mean, for whatever reason, Glenn doesn't remember ever fighting Synthesis, but I think that was also because he wants to forget that match.
Upgrade for Corey because there's a chance they can attack each other.
The scariest thing when you have three robots in the cage is when you have Corey sideline and he's fighting 2 robots. The arena glass is going to get beaten up, and it's a safety hazard. Because Corey just goes in and beats it. And then falls because, yeah.
So all my energy is gone.
Well, Corey redefines the whole saying of I'm going to break your fist with my face or whatever. He says, I'm going to break the glass with your robot. That's what Corey
I'm going to break the glass with my fist.
I want to see if it's possible to hit someone so hard and so fast that they hit the Lexan and they go through the Lexan, but we'll see.
Didn't a robot get embedded in April?
Yeah. Oh, I know. Event Horizon.
Yeah.
Hit the Lexan against Chainsaw Kitty, and I think it got stuck in the Lexan.
Void Dutch oven.
I didn't see it get stuck in the Lexan. I was there for that fight, or at least one of them between Chainsaw and Event Horizon, and it pierced the first layer and put a little ding on the second layer.
There's photos out there of it sitting. So a cage is what, 6 foot, 8 foot tall internally? It's probably 4 foot up and just embedded in the glass and completely just sitting there.
Okay. I did not see that fight then.
One interesting thing about the Beetles is normally you'll have the silent springs or silent X's, you'll have the eruptions, the lynxes. There's not that, those bots aren't actually going. So I think what will happen is you may see some names that you don't normally see, like the top and going into the finals of the bracket, or even top 4, top 8. You may see some of those names that we've never seen before actually making it in there, and could even go even farther than that. So it's fascinating and awesome to be able to see some new names that aren't normally shown, because I mean, this is a sport. We are the superstars of the nerd. So I think we are essentially the quarterbacks, and all of the people that are put on the spotlight, the people that don't normally get put there, we are them. So I mean, that's an awesome feeling.
So Michael, if you don't come home with a dumpster, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Well, I think I'd be very disappointed if we don't come home with 2.
You know what I did just notice?
What?
We heard you.
Did you know what I did just notice? We completely brushed over the fact that chubby unicorns in this field.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
Well, I don't think we want to fight chubby unicorns. We're just like, let's not mention it. Maybe he'll forget that it's happening.
But is
Damn
it
it.
worse to ignore and give a sign of almost disrespect? Or is it better to acknowledge that he is that good and just run away?
I will say chubby unicorn's the big inspiration for my bot, so I would love to fight it even if I lose.
See, Chubby is a weird robot. Tim is a great guy.
Yeah.
Chubby is not like the one that's like, I'm not killing you in one shot. Chubby is super durable. You don't ever really see it die. It's just it just keeps on trucking, and I think that durability over destructibility, I think that's what really makes a robot as good. And I think Tim exemplifies that. And he like when I fought him, his weapon went down, and I think at one point he was upside down. He actually ran over to my side. He's like, all right, let's set up a big hit. We want to put on a good show. Unfortunately, I couldn't really line it up. But no, he was great. He actually lasted longer than the Booty Brigade did.
And not to mention Rainbow Weapon.
Yeah. And it's Chubby
my heart.
Unicorn is a rhinoceros, which is awesome.
If you don't speak Chubby Unicorn's name, then he can't find you. So.
Yeah.
Chubby
Well, look what we
unicorn,
just
chubby
did.
unicorn,
That's what I was
chubby
saying.
unicorn.
All right, so
That was way more than 3 times.
Wait a sec, but notice the 12-pound builder called him because he's not fighting Chubby Unicorn.
Yeah.
so can no one mention the greatest challenge, please?
We did.
We did.
Darn.
Too late.
Yeah.
I'm interested about the Kraken too. Does anybody know anything about that?
I know they definitely fought. I don't remember what they were, but I definitely know they fought.
There's so many 3-pound robots that I just have no idea about.
Oh, yeah, I'm kind of hoping for a 3-pound version of the 250. That'd be fun to see.
I really hope, because it feels. I just had a fight to get on the list. I really hope the people that are going are bringing their A game. They're bringing. But I don't mean like, oh, they're bringing like the best of the best. Just bring a robot, you put it in the cage, it drives, and the weapon actually spins. That's a win. That's the biggest win. You don't have to win every fight. You're not going to win every fight. That's the biggest thing you have to remember. You can't win every fight unless you're Zack Knight or someone over there. But no, the biggest win to me personally, like I said, is put the robot in the cage. It works. It's nothing more discouraging is they put the robot in, it functioned at home, and then all of a sudden they put it in, and either half the drive doesn't work, the weapon doesn't spin up, and that's frustrating. But like I said, there's 96 robots that you have for Beetles, 24 for 12s, and 16 for 30s. Try to really get your robot dialed in, so that way you may, by them picking you of not one of the 96 or the other classes, you made it all right. So this person does have a robot that's worth putting on the list.
Yeah, I will say, in August with my fingertip beater bar flying purple people leader, I ended up fighting Jameson Go with Silent X twice. And during that, I ended up kind of building a philosophy for how I like to approach fights, which is something is going to blow up. It'll be fun. What I like to see in a fight is I just like to see something happen. Even if I'm getting demolished, if the audience is having fun, if at least one of us is having fun, then I'm having fun.
Yep, exactly. Well, I expect a lot of fun fights this weekend. I'm very much looking forward to it. I don't have any predictions whatsoever, because I think that there's several robots in every single weight class that could potentially win this event. So I'm excited, and I obviously wish y'all the best of luck, and curious to see how it shakes out.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thanks for having us on.
Yeah, for sure. So for everyone that's watching this, make sure that you watch the NHRL event this Saturday. You know, watch it, root for your favorites, tune in as much as you can, because I think it's going to be awesome. And as far as this show, please make sure that you like, subscribe. I'll probably say this every show from now on. Ashley really wants to win an ant weight, and I got to get to 1,000 subs in order for that to potentially happen. So, or whoever might win an ant weight, you know, we'll see who ends up getting that. But you know, so yeah, please make sure that you do that. Comment, share, all of that good stuff, and we will see everybody next time on the show.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank